Have you ever walked away from a conversation or visit and wondered, did I say or do something wrong as we age? The habits we form, some comforting, some unconscious, can slowly shape the way the world experiences us. But here's the truth. No one tells you the most damaging habits in old age aren't loud or dramatic. They're subtle, quiet, easy to overlook. Yet these small patterns of behavior can make the difference between being warmly welcomed or silently avoided. Maybe you don't notice it anymore when you speak a little too harshly, dominate conversations, or repeat health complaints to the point where loved ones quietly tune out, and rarely will anyone bring it up. Not out of kindness, but discomfort. So you're left in the dark, unaware of the invisible distance. Growing between you and the people who once stayed longer, laughed harder, and leaned in closer. That's why this video matters. We're going to shine a light on 12 habits that too often go unspoken, but are clearly felt by those around you. And let's be clear, none of this is about judgment. It's about awareness, about giving you a chance to gently ask yourself, is this still serving me? Or is it pushing people away? Because the truth is, aging with dignity doesn't mean staying the same. It means being wise enough to recognize when something no longer reflects who you are and brave enough to change it. Each of these 12 signs is a doorway, not a criticism. A doorway back to connection, closeness, and the kind of respect we all deserve, no matter our age. You've lived through decades of growth, hardship, love, and triumph. You've earned the right to be seen, heard, and valued. But those things come not from demanding them, but from earning them through presence, self-awareness, and grace. Some of these habits may surprise you. Others may feel uncomfortably familiar, but all of them offer something powerful, a chance to reconnect, not just with others, but with the best version of yourself. So whether you're watching this for yourself, for a loved one, or simply out of curiosity, stay with me. Because these next few minutes may change the way you carry yourself, the way others respond to you, and the way you experience the world in your later years. Let's begin with clarity, compassion, and an open heart. Let's begin with the first habit, one that's painfully common, yet almost never talked about, neglecting personal hygiene. Now, this isn't about being dirty or careless. It's about the small signals. Clothes worn one too many days, unbrushed hair, fingernails left too long, or a faint odor that lingers in a room after you leave. These things might feel minor to you, especially if energy is lower than it once was, or routines have quietly shifted. But to others, they speak volumes. When people sense you've stopped taking care of yourself, they don't just notice it changes how they interact with you. They might sit a little farther away, avoid hugs, or subtly shorten visits. And here's the heartbreaking part. They aren't reacting to you. They're reacting to what your self-care, or lack of it, says. It whispers, I've given up a little. And whether you realize it or not, others feel it deeply. But here's the good news. It's completely fixable. A fresh shirt, clean hair, and a trimmed nail don't just restore dignity. They send a powerful message. I still care. That alone can reawaken closeness, warmth, and respect. Self-care is more than hygiene. It's energy. And people feel that energy long before you speak. Now, let's talk about the second habit, speaking without a filter. As we age, that little internal voice, the one that used to whisper, maybe don't say that, often fades. We start speaking more freely, maybe even proudly saying, I've earned the right to speak my mind. And while that feels empowering for others, it can be uncomfortable. There's a fine line between honesty and bluntness. Maybe you've commented on someone's appearance, weight, relationship, or parenting style, thinking you're being helpful or just real. But to the person hearing it, it can land like judgment, not wisdom. And here's the quiet result. They start to pull back. They still love you, but they begin protecting themselves from the sting of your words. Shorter calls, fewer invitations, more emotional distance. That's not what you want. The truth is, honesty, without kindness, is often just criticism. You don't have to silence yourself. You simply need to pause. Ask, is this kind? Is this necessary? Would I want someone saying it to my grandchild? When your wisdom is wrapped in compassion, people listen, they lean in, you become someone they admire, not someone they avoid. And that truly is the power of aging well with intention and heart. Let's move on to habit number 3, wearing clothes that no longer fit properly. Now this might seem like a small superficial thing, just fabric on skin, right? But the truth is, how we dress speaks volumes about how we see ourselves, especially as we age. Maybe you've gotten comfortable wearing the same outfits from years ago. Maybe you haven't noticed that the pants are a little too loose now, or that the shirt hugs a bit tighter than it used to. Or maybe you think, what does it matter at my age? But here's the thing, it does matter. Not because of fashion or vanity, but because your appearance reflects how engaged you are with the present moment. When your clothes no longer fit your body or your spirit, it signals something deeper that you've stopped paying attention. And people around you, they notice. They won't say it out loud, but inside they register that you're stuck in a version of yourself from the past. What once looked classic now seems like you've given up a little. And whether they mean to or not, they start to treat you differently. Not out of judgment, but out of subtle disconnection. Wearing well-fitted, clean and current clothes tells the world, I still see myself, I still matter. It's a quiet act of dignity. And no, you don't need to chase trends or look like you're 25 again, but updating a few key pieces, a shirt that flatters your skin tone today, pants that actually fit, shoes that offer support, but still look polished, can completely change how others respond to you. They smile more, they engage more deeply, they feel a sense of admiration, even if they don't say it out loud. And most importantly, you begin to feel different too. You stand taller, you take up space again with quiet confidence. Think about it. Would you wear the same clothes to an important event that you wore 25 years ago? Probably not. So why show up in daily life wearing something that no longer reflects who you are? Now, your body has changed. Your wisdom has grown, your energy has shifted. Let your appearance honor that evolution, because even in old age, presentation isn't about ego, it's about self-respect. When you dress with intention, you remind the world and yourself that you are still showing up, still participating, and still proud of who you are today. Habit number 4 is interrupting or dominating conversations. A behavior that often goes unnoticed by the person doing it, but quietly affects everyone else in the room. Now, it's only natural to want to share your story, your experience, your perspective, especially after a lifetime of wisdom. You've earned the right to speak, and you have valuable things to say. But here's the quiet danger. When we talk too much, especially without noticing the flow of the room, we unintentionally silence others. It can start innocently. A topic comes up and you've lived through something similar, so you jump in, offering advice, telling a story, adding your take. Suddenly you've been speaking for 10 minutes and no one else has said a word. You didn't mean to take over, but it happened. And while no one may call you out on it over time, people start pulling back, they stop sharing, they cut conversations short. Not because they don't love you, but because they don't feel heard. You've become a monologue, not a dialogue. The hard truth. People crave connection, not correction. They want to feel like their voice matters too. And when they don't, they slowly step away. This is especially true with younger generations, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, who already feel a bit of a gap in values or experiences. If every conversation becomes a lecture or an unsolicited opinion, they'll avoid the deeper moments. They'll nod, smile and stay on the surface. But inside, they'll feel misunderstood, maybe even dismissed. That's not the legacy you want. The good news. The fix is simple but powerful. Start with presence. When someone speaks, really listen, not to reply, but to understand. Pause before you jump in. Ask a question instead of offering advice. Let silence exist. It often invites honesty. You'll be amazed how people open up when they feel truly heard. Here's the beautiful part. The less you dominate the room, the more others will seek your input. When you choose to listen more than you speak, your words actually carry more weight. People lean in, not out. They don't just hear you, they value you. And in those moments, you become what we all admire, not just the elder with the most stories, but the one who makes others feel safe, seen and respected. That's real wisdom. And that kind of presence, calm, aware, and generous, is something people never forget. Habit number 5 is one of the most common yet damaging patterns, constantly complaining about younger generations. It usually starts with a harmless comment. Back in my day, we didn't do things like that. Or these kids today don't know how easy they have it. But over time, those offhand remarks build a wall. While it might feel like you're sharing wisdom or simply pointing out differences to younger people, it sounds like rejection. Criticizing how they dress, speak, work, or live doesn't make them respect your era more. It makes them feel misunderstood. The unintended message is clear. You're doing it wrong, and I know better. This doesn't just hurt. It pushes people away. Grandchildren stop opening up. Adult children avoid deeper conversations. Friends tune out. No one likes to feel judged, especially by someone they love. And when it comes from an older generation, it stings even more. Because the expectation is for empathy, not condemnation. The truth is, every generation struggles in ways the one before it can't fully understand. The world today is faster, more complex, and more mentally demanding than ever before. Instead of criticism, what younger people need is curiosity. Ask them what it's like to grow up in this digital world. Ask how they handle stress, identity, relationships. You don't have to agree with every answer. You don't even have to relate to all of it. But by showing interest, you build a bridge. That bridge leads to closeness, trust, and influence. People don't change because you tell them how wrong they are. They open up when they feel respected. And here's the irony: when younger people feel accepted, they actually seek your guidance more often. They ask questions. They want your opinion. But that only happens when they trust you're not here to judge, but to understand. Think about it. Would you want someone half your age telling you everything you believed was outdated or wrong? Probably not. So why do it to them? Choose connection over correction. The most respected elders aren't the ones shouting from the past. They're the ones reaching into the present with open minds and open hearts. Let your experience be a lighthouse, not a searchlight. The next time you're tempted to say, "Kids these days," pause, take a breath, then ask, "What's it like for you?" That small shift can change everything. Habit number 6 is something many older adults don't even realize they're doing: ignoring modern etiquette. These days, manners have evolved, especially in shared spaces. Talking loudly on speakerphone in a waiting room, playing videos without headphones in public, or standing too close in line may have seemed harmless years ago, but now they're viewed as disruptive. It's not about being overly sensitive. It's about being considerate. Social norms have shifted, and what once passed as normal is now perceived as invasive or disrespectful. The problem isn't intention, it's awareness. Most people won't say anything. Instead, they'll move away, avoid eye contact, or feel irritated without explaining why. And sadly, this lack of feedback creates a blind spot, making it hard to see how your behavior might be affecting others. The truth is, the modern world values personal space, quiet, respect, and subtle courtesy more than ever. Being tuned into that shows you're still engaged, still thoughtful, still part of the present moment. It's easy to fall back on habits formed decades ago, especially when no one directly tells you otherwise. But times change, and adjusting to them doesn't mean giving up who you are. It means evolving gracefully, paying attention to how others interact in public, how they lower their voices, use earbuds, wait patiently, or give each other space, can offer gentle cues for how to move through the world without accidentally alienating people. It's not about pretending to be young or adopting every new trend. It's about saying, I still care how I affect others. This mindset doesn't just improve how strangers see you. It transforms how your own family, your children, your grandchildren experience being around you. When they see that you're aware and adaptable, they feel more at ease. They don't worry about bringing you into new environments, and they respect you more for staying tuned in rather than falling behind. The beauty of etiquette is that it doesn't require wealth, education, or youth. It just requires attention. So next time you're out and about, ask yourself, am I being present? Am I noticing how others are behaving in this space? Small efforts like turning down your volume or stepping aside in a crowded aisle send a powerful message. I'm still connected to this world, and I still care about how others feel in it. That simple awareness builds quiet respect, and that at any age is a powerful thing to carry with you. Habit number 7 is one that sneaks into conversations more often than most realize. Oversharing medical problems. Health is a major part of aging, and talking about it can feel natural, even necessary. But when every chat turns into a rundown of aches, medications, doctor visits, and upcoming procedures, it starts to wear on the people around you, especially for younger family members or friends. It can feel overwhelming, even emotionally draining. They may not know how to respond. They may feel helpless. Over time, they may stop reaching out, not because they don't care, but because it feels like every interaction becomes a medical update instead of a meaningful connection. This isn't about pretending everything is fine or hiding your struggles. It's about balance. You are so much more than your symptoms, and your relationships deserve to reflect all of who you are, not just the parts that hurt or need fixing. People want to hear about your joys, your thoughts, your memories, your opinions on the world, and yes, they care about your health too, but not as the only subject. When medical issues dominate your conversations, you may unintentionally shift your identity in others' eyes from a person they admire and enjoy to someone they feel obligated to care for or tiptoe around. That shift can create emotional distance. Instead of laughing together or sharing stories, they begin to brace for updates. And slowly that beautiful connection you once had begins to feel more like a chore. But the good news, this is one of the easiest habits to shift. Try this before diving into the latest diagnosis or complaint. Ask about the other person. How are they doing? What's new in their world? What's bringing them joy or stress? When you ask sincerely, you remind them that your relationship is a two-way street. And when you do need to talk about your health, consider choosing the right moment and the right person. Not every gathering is the time for detailed medical history. Sometimes saving those conversations for your doctor support group or a trusted friend creates space for lighter, more joyful moments with others, because here's the truth. People want to connect with you, not just your symptoms, but your stories, your warmth, your wisdom. When you bring those parts of yourself forward, you not only lift the tone of the conversation, you lift the energy of everyone around you. That's a gift no medicine can replace. Habit number 8 is one that creeps in slowly over time, being stubborn about outdated beliefs. As we age, our experiences shape our worldview. We've lived through wars, recessions, revolutions in technology, and shifting social norms. So it's easy to feel like we've earned the right to plant our feet firmly in what we believe. But here's the quiet danger when those beliefs harden into absolutes. We begin to wall ourselves off from the present moment. You might find yourself saying things like, "That's just how it is," or "Back in my day, things were better." And while that might feel like wisdom to the younger people around you, It often sounds like resistance. It makes them feel like they can't share their ideas, like their world doesn't measure up to yours, or worse, that you've stopped being open to them altogether. The truth is, the world is changing fast, and no one expects you to keep up with every trend or rewrite your values overnight, but they do hope you'll keep your heart and mind open, especially when it comes to conversations that matter, about identity, mental health, relationships, technology, and the way people live their lives today. When you shut those conversations down or dismiss them, it sends a message. I don't want to understand. And that message builds walls, not bridges. Your children, grandchildren, and younger friends start avoiding certain topics. They keep things light. They avoid going deep, not because they don't care, but because they assume you won't listen. That's a quiet tragedy, because underneath it all, you still have so much wisdom to offer, wisdom that could help them navigate this complex world. If only they felt safe sharing their truth with you. Being flexible in your thinking doesn't mean abandoning your values. It means making space for other perspectives without feeling threatened. It means asking questions like, "Can you tell me more?" or "Help me understand what that means to you." These simple phrases create connection, and connection is what keeps relationships alive. Especially across generations. When you stay curious, you become someone younger. People seek out not to argue with, but to learn from, because it's not your rigid opinions that make you wise. It's your willingness to listen, reflect, and grow. That's what makes you relevant. That's what makes you admired. Not for being right, but for being real. For being willing to evolve, even when the world feels foreign. That kind of grace leaves a lasting impression and keeps you close to the people who matter most. Habit number 9 is one most people won't tell you about directly, but they feel it immediately. It's moving through public spaces without awareness of your surroundings. As we age, our pace changes. We slow down. We walk more carefully, sometimes with canes or walkers, and that's completely normal. But what often gets lost is the awareness of how our movements affect others around us. You might be reading a label in a grocery aisle and not realize your cart is blocking the entire walkway. Or maybe you're walking with a friend and don't notice you've drifted into someone's path. These seem like small moments, but to others, they feel like obstacles. And over time, they build up quietly in people's minds. They start labeling you perhaps unfairly as someone who's always in the way. And once that label forms, even loved ones start making small adjustments, avoiding errands together, skipping busy outings, or rushing you through environments where they worry you'll create tension. But here's the truth. This habit isn't about your speed, it's about your awareness. You can move slowly and still be deeply considerate. It's about recognizing shared spaces and making small adjustments, stepping to the side. When you pause, keeping your cart aligned to one edge, noticing when others need to pass. These little actions speak volumes. They say, I still see the world around me. I care about how I affect people. And in a world that often feels rushed and disconnected, that kind of presence is powerful. When others see you moving with intention and grace, not only do they admire your composure, they feel respected. It's a subtle signal that says, I may be older, but I still carry myself with dignity and awareness. Now, this doesn't mean you need to overthink every step, but practicing mindfulness in motion, especially in public, can transform how others experience you. It can mean the difference between being viewed as a burden and being remembered as someone who moves with quiet thoughtfulness. Think of it this way. Every hallway store aisle or church pew is a shared space. When you move through it with care, people notice. They feel safer, more relaxed around you, and in turn, you'll feel more included, more connected, and more empowered. Being older doesn't mean fading into the background. It means showing up present, aware, and still very much a part of the world. That's the kind of energy that opens hearts, not closes doors. Habit number 10 is one of the most overlooked, yet most damaging making jokes that just don't age well. Humor can be one of the most beautiful things we carry into later life. It lightens the moment, builds connection, and softens tension, but not all jokes stay funny forever. The world has changed, and with it, so have the things people find acceptable or hurtful. A joke that once got a laugh decades ago might now land with discomfort, even offense. You might think you're just being playful or reminiscing about how things used to be, but to those around you, especially younger generations, it can feel like you're out of touch, or worse, disrespectful. Joking about gender, race, weight, or outdated stereotypes can make others feel judged, even if you didn't mean it that way. Most people won't confront you about it. They'll just quietly pull back, distance themselves, or avoid deep conversations with you altogether. And here's the hardest part. Many older adults don't even realize they're doing it. You might be laughing, expecting others to join in, only to be met with polite smiles or awkward silence. That's a sign. People are uncomfortable, not entertained. But the good news is, this doesn't mean you need to stop being funny. It means evolving your sense of humor with the times. The best kind of humor in old age isn't the kind that punches down. It's the kind that lifts up. That means laughing at yourself, your quirks, your past mistakes. That shows humility. It shows you're still light-hearted, still in touch, still able to grow. Self-deprecating humor is powerful. It disarms tension and invites connection because it shows you're not trying to be superior. You're trying to be human. When your humor is thoughtful, warm, and inclusive, people lean in, they smile because they feel safe. Not targeted, they laugh because they know your words come from a kind place. You become someone they enjoy being around, not just because of your wisdom, but because of the joy you bring. So before cracking a joke, ask yourself, who does this lift up? Who might it hurt? If the answer is unclear, it might be time to leave that one. In the past, remember, being funny is not about shocking or provoking anymore. It's about connection, and a kind sense of humor, shaped by wisdom and emotional awareness, doesn't just entertain, it inspires. That kind of laughter is timeless. It brings generations together and leaves behind something more valuable than a laugh. A memory of warmth, respect, and genuine presence. Habit 11 may surprise you. It's acting helpless when you're not. Getting older comes with real changes. Mobility might slow, memory may slip, and things that used to come easily can feel harder. But there's a major difference between asking for help when you need it and slipping into the habit of asking for help when you don't. Many seniors, often without realizing it, start defaulting to, "Can you just do this for me?" Or "I don't know how I'll mess it up anyway," even when they're perfectly capable. On the surface, it seems harmless, but over time, it quietly erodes two very important things: your own sense of independence and the patience of those around you. Loved ones may begin to feel like caretakers, not companions. They might help with a smile, but inside they start feeling worn down, even resentful, especially when they know you could have done it yourself with a little effort or confidence. And here's where it gets complicated. This habit isn't always about laziness. Often it's rooted in fear. Fear of failing, fear of being embarrassed, fear of no longer measuring up. So rather than trying and risking a mistake, you just let someone else step in. But every time you do that unnecessarily, you give away a bit of your own agency. You shrink your world instead of expanding it. People respect effort. They admire when you try, even if you struggle more than when you pass the task off before attempting it. Independence, no matter how small the gesture, sends a strong message. I'm still in this, I'm still trying, I still matter. Your children and grandchildren notice when you figure out the TV remote yourself or carry your own plate to the sink. These little actions reinforce your strength and remind others that you're not giving up on yourself or on life. The truth is, dignity is found in doing what you can, not pretending you can't. When you only ask for help when it's truly needed, Others respond with real compassion, not silent frustration, and you feel more empowered. You start reclaiming control over your days, your choices, your self-worth. So before you ask for assistance, pause and ask yourself, is this something I can still do if I try? If the answer is yes, give yourself that chance. Every small act of independence is a statement, not just to others, but to yourself. It says you're still capable, still valuable, and still here to live fully, not passively. That shift in mindset could be the most powerful habit you ever change. Habit 12 is pretending you're always right. And while it may not sound harmful at first, this habit can quietly damage your relationships more than you realize. As we age, we've lived through decades of experience. We've faced hard decisions, survived losses, and learned important lessons the long way. It's easy to start believing that wisdom automatically equals correctness. But when the need to be right outweighs the desire to connect the people around you, start shutting down. It begins subtly correcting someone's story at dinner, insisting that your method is the only one that works, dismissing new ideas with a scoff or a quick, "That's nonsense." And while you may think you're just sharing insight, others often feel silenced, diminished, or simply tired of arguing. Over time, they may avoid deeper conversations with you, not because they don't care, but because it feels easier than being corrected every time they speak. This doesn't just happen with peers. It affects your children, your grandchildren, even neighbors or caregivers. People begin to withhold their opinions, not because you've persuaded them, but because they don't want to feel invalidated. And here's the tragic part. They stop asking for your thoughts altogether. Your voice, once seen as wise, starts to feel heavy, even intrusive. The irony is most older adults who fall into this habit don't do it out of arrogance. They do it out of fear. Fear that the world is changing too fast. Fear of becoming irrelevant. Fear that letting go of long-held beliefs means letting go of their identity. But here's the truth. Your relevance doesn't come from being right all the time. It comes from being someone who listens, who grows, and who creates space for others to think, question and evolve, even when you disagree. Being wise isn't about having the last word. It's about knowing when to offer your perspective gently and when to simply nod and say, "Tell me more." That kind of humility carries incredible power. It shows strength, not weakness, and it earns the deepest respect from others. When you make space for other people's views, you invite trust. You show that you're not just stuck in the past, you're present, engaged, and still learning. That makes people lean in. They seek you out. They listen more carefully because they know you're not just waiting to be proven right. You're genuinely interested in understanding. That's how you become not just the oldest person in the room, but the wisest. Not the loudest voice, but the most respected one. And when you choose connection over control, you become someone people truly want to be around, no matter your age. As we wrap up, take a quiet moment to reflect, not with shame, but with courage. Growing older doesn't mean perfection, it means perspective. These 12 habits we've explored aren't accusations, they're invitations. Invitations to pause, to self-examine, and to consider how small changes can lead to deeper connections and a richer life. None of us get through life without picking up some blind spots. The true mark of wisdom isn't in pretending they aren't there, it's in having the humility to say, maybe I can do better. And that, more than anything, earns you the respect, warmth, and closeness we all crave. So whether it's trimming your nails, listening more, or loosening your grip on being right, each step is a powerful act of love for yourself and those around you. Because at the end of the day, the legacy we leave isn't made of opinions or habits, it's made of how we make people feel. And it's never too late to choose kindness, presence, and grace.